Today we are going to cover the current affairs for the month of June with respect to mains 2025 examination. With respect to the disaster management, that there have been flood-like situation in Assam belongs to the subject of governance and polity. Ladakh gets new policies on quota and domicile status. India engages US in plans to grey list Pakistan at FATF session. A ban, a split verdict and a health concern. The GM mustard, there's a new genetically modified mustard building integrated photovoltaic. Welcome to Tathastu ICS. My name is Rishi Kodwani and today we are going to cover the current affairs for the month of June with respect to mains 2025 examination. ये मेंस महारत प्रोग्राम का एक स्पेशल करंट अफेयर्स सेशन है जिसमें हम जून फर्स्ट वीक के जितने आर्टिकल्स हैं रेलेवेंट ओनली विद रिस्पेक्ट टू मेंस प्रोग्राम मेंस 2025 एग्जामिनेशन वही कवर करेंगे. वी आर ट्राइंग टू कीप द सब्जेक्ट डाइवर्सिफाइड विच मीन्स कि अलग अलग सब्जेक्ट से एक टॉपिक पॉलिटी का, एक टॉपिक साइंस टेक का, एक टॉपिक एनवायरमेंट का. सो वी आर ट्राइंग टू cover different subjects and we are also trying to give you the possible questions that could be framed from that article in the mains examination. तो हम दो चीजें देखेंगे, पहले हम करंट अफेयर्स आर्टिकल डिस्कस करेंगे और दूसरा उस पे क्या पॉसिबल क्वेश्चन है वो अटेम्प्ट कर सकते हैं. यू कैन अटैच योर आंसर्स इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स एंड इन द कमेंट सेक्शन आप अपने आंसर्स को अटैच कर सकते हैं एंड वी विल गेट बैक टू यू. So without wasting much time, let us begin with the very first article, which is with respect to the disaster management. We know GS paper 3 का ये topic है, that is disaster management, and this can also overlap with GS paper 1 geography. In this article, what the headline says is rains in the northeast, death toll in rain-induced disasters reaches 30. Abhi we are already understanding that there are very heavy rainfall that is existing in the northeastern states of India, which has caused great havoc, which has caused a lot of disaster and loss of life and property in the northeastern states. So that becomes important for disaster management also. We also know that in this year only in March, the amendment to Disaster Management Act was also passed. So disaster management as a subject becomes very important. तो disaster management से related ये एक article है और उसको हम disaster management के perspective से पढ़ेंगे. Let me first tell you what the question we have thought that could be framed, and then we will understand this article from this question's point of view. So the question says the frequent rain-induced disasters in the northeastern states of India. स्पेसिफिकली नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स, पूरे इंडिया में कहीं भी नहीं, वेस्टर्न घाट्स की बात नहीं कर रहा है, स्पेसिफिकली नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स. रेन इंड्यूस्ड डिजास्टर्स इन द नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स ऑफ इंडिया हाईलाइट द इनएडिक्वेसीज इन डिजास्टर प्रिपेयर्डनेस. इनएडिक्वेसीज का मतलब दैट इज नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड, समथिंग इज लैकिंग, इट इज नॉट एडिक्वेट. व्हाट? डिजास्टर प्रिपरेशन इज नॉट एडिक्वेट. क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन का मतलब आपको अच्छे पॉइंट्स भी लेके आने, नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स भी लेके आने और आपको उसको जो नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स है उसका सॉल्यूशन देना है. क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन करना है. क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन द फैक्टर्स कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू सच डिजास्टर्स कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट में ऐसे डिजास्टर्स, रेन इंड्यूस्ड डिजास्टर्स क्यों होते हैं, एंड सजेस्ट लॉन्ग टर्म मिटिगेशन स्ट्रेटजीज सूटेबल फॉर द रीजन्स यूनिक फिजियोग्राफी. कि इसी डिजास्टर से मैनेज करने के लिए व्हाट कुड बी द लॉन्ग टर्म मिटिगेशन. मिटिगेशन का मतलब कि हम ऐसे डिजास्टर को कैसे प्रिवेंट कर सकते हैं. लॉन्ग टर्म मिटिगेशन स्ट्रेटजीज सूटेबल फॉर द रीजन्स यूनिक फिजियोग्राफी. यूनिक फिजियोग्राफी का मतलब वहां का माउंटेन रीजन, वहां का प्लेन रीजन, वहां के रिवर सिस्टम, वहां का सॉइल, ये इन सबको हम फिजियोग्राफी बोलते हैं. तो यूनिक, नॉर्थ ईस्ट हैज यूनिक फिजियोग्राफी. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रेटजी शुड बी देयर, शुड बी एम्प्लॉयड, शुड बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट which can prevent such rain induced disasters. तो ये हमारा पॉसिबल क्वेश्चन है 250 वर्ड का, 15 मार्क का. इस क्वेश्चन को हमने अटेम्प्ट करना है विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस आर्टिकल. तो पहले आर्टिकल समझते हैं, फिर ये क्वेश्चन को हम अटेम्प्ट करेंगे. सो द आर्टिकल, व्हाई वाज आर्टिकल इन न्यूज? वी हैव ऑलरेडी अंडरस्टूड दैट देयर हैव बीन फ्लड लाइक सिचुएशन इन असम एंड देयर हैव आल्सो बीन लैंडस्लाइड्स इन अरुणाचल प्रदेश व्हिच हैज कॉज्ड लॉट ऑफ लॉस ऑफ लाइफ एंड प्रॉपर्टी. तो सबसे पहले देखते हैं कि लैंडस्लाइड्स क्या होते हैं. Landslides is defined as the movement of mass of rock, debris or earth down the slope. हमें पता है कि जब एक पहाड़ी इलाके में एक पहाड़ी का थोड़ा सा हिस्सा जब टूट के गिर जाता है, when a mass of earth starts to break off from the structure of earth and falls down by the action of gravity, that is known as landslide. Land is sliding from the earth, that is landslides. Landslides are type of mass wasting which denotes that any downslope movement of soil and rock under the influence of gravity. क्या कॉजेज हो सकते हैं लैंडस्लाइड के? अगर मैं आपको एक जरा सा समझाने की कोशिश करूं कि लैंडस्लाइड के कॉजेज क्या हो सकते हैं, देन what we can understand is that if there is this kind of a region and this part is now going to fall off, तो या तो there are two, one is external cause, there is so much external pressure over the land which will force the land to slide down, or the second could be internally this area becomes weak and therefore land will follow through and land will slide down. So there are two types of causes which can cause landslide. एक बाहर से बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर है और एक अंदर से सॉइल वीक हो गई है जो उसको सपोर्ट नहीं कर पा रही है. So with this background, let us understand the article again. The slope movement occurs when forces acting downslope, that is due to gravity, exceed the strength of the earth's material that comprises the slope. जो अर्थ के अंदर जो मटेरियल है वो उससे ज्यादा बाहर से प्रेशर अगर लग रहा है, why बाहर से? How can the external pressure be more? The external pressure will be more because there will be a lot of human based anthropogenic activities. What are human based anthropogenic activities? Like there is a lot of construction activities, there is a lot of construction of dams, there is a lot of tourism, there is deforestation. So all these are the external forces which are going to make the land become weak and it will exceed the carrying capacity. You can use keywords like carrying capacity. It will exceed the carrying capacity which will make the land not the internal structure of the soil will not be able to bear the external forces. Now the second is the landslides can be initiated in slopes already on the verge of movement of rainfall, snow melt, changes in groundwater, earthquake, volcanic activities, disturbance by human activities, or any of the combination of these factors. So we know that there is an external factor, there is an internal factor. अगर हम इंडिया में देखें कहाँ कहाँ लैंडस्लाइड्स आते हैं, landslides and avalanches are among the principal hydrogeological hazards that affect various areas. कौन कौन से areas में affect करता है? Himalayas, we know it is a tectonically active region where the Indo-Australian plate is striking or is colliding with the Eurasian plate. Then there is northeastern hill ranges जो अब यहाँ पे भी हो रहा है. Western Ghats is another fault line. Then there are Nilgiris, part of Western Ghats. Then there is Eastern Ghats, Vindhyas. All of these are hilly regions where such things can always occur. The region is characterized by steep slopes, fragile rock formations, high seismic activities where landslides can always occur. In this recent season, इस साल क्या हुआ है? There have been more than 700 such incidents in over 1 week where alone Mizoram has recorded more than 550 and least have been recorded in Manipur with 93 landslides. तो एक ही हफ्ते में 700 से ज्यादा लैंडस्लाइड्स हुए हैं which has caused lot of loss of life and property. अब ये समझते हैं कि इस साल इतनी ज्यादा डिस्ट्रक्शन क्यों हुई है. We all know that this year the monsoon has arrived at a much early rate. जल्दी आ गया है बारिशों का सीजन, जो सावन का महीना है, बारिशों का सीजन है, मॉनसून सीजन है, वो जल्दी आ गया. It has arrived before time. So the Brahmaputra river and some of its tributaries were flowing above the danger level. Why were they flowing above the danger? Because there was a lot of rainfall which increased the level of the rivers, which will cause floods, and floods will cause landslides. Many external factors are playing in the arrival of early monsoon to South India. More cyclones are occurring late into the Bay of Bengal region. ये सारे are making cause. And why are there more cyclones? Because there is global warming, because the surface temperature of the water is rising. जितना ज़्यादा surface temperature rise करेगा, El Nino और weak La Nina की वजह से, because of global warming, more water will be evaporated, more rainfall will occur, cyclones will become more extreme, more energetic, because there is more energy in the on the surface of the ocean. An unusual sea surface temperature anomaly pattern in the tropical Indian Ocean is causing early and higher rainfall in southern India and northeast of India. Now let us understand what are the measures that the government can take to prevent landslides like disasters in future. So what have the measures they have taken? One of them is that in 2019 they have already launched National Landslide Risk Management Strategy कि कैसे हम लैंडस्लाइड से बच सकते हैं. For this it is an approach to identify which are the most vulnerable positions, which are the most vulnerable places in India जहाँ पे landslides आ सकती हैं, and where landslides can cause much and very large scale disaster, that is loss of life and property. So hazard mapping, monitoring, early warning system, awareness, capacity building. Capacity building का मतलब क्या होता है? Capacity building का यहाँ पे मतलब है that to build back better, to build back better, कि हम लोगों को ट्रेन करेंगे कि whenever the disaster strikes they are prepared to handle and not panic and take care of themselves without creating loss of life. Then there is landslide risk mitigation scheme. इसमें again we are going to provide financial support for those vulnerable areas where where landslides can occur most, and they will use this financial support for prevention, mitigation and research on the after effects of landslides. Then there is flood risk mitigation scheme. In this scheme the pilot projects will be launched in order to establish flood shelters and early warning systems in order to prevent the loss of life and property, so that people can be evacuated and floods cannot cause any kind of disaster, any kind of damage to the people. Then we will also deploy NDRO units for conducting rescue operations. Then we should be preventing landslides. How can we prevent? These are the after effects. How can we prevent the landslides from happening? We can prevent the landslides from happening by something known as grading and terracing. We know that it is terrace farming, वो soil erosion को prevent करने में help करता है. Similarly, vegetation control, more afforestation, more vegetation, more plantation will help in binding the soil and prevent the soil erosion, जिससे landslide के risk भी कम हो सकते हैं. So these are the different measures that you can use to prevent landslides in future. The point is that there should be political will and awareness among the local communities to do all these things. Moving ahead, what is the way forward? That in the latest Disaster Management Amendment Act 2025, it has called for the establishment of State Disaster Response Force and Urban Disaster Management Authority, which shall be useful whenever they are established. They shall be useful in preventing the loss of life and property in the urban places or anywhere in the country. So with this article, this question is there, where again I will read the question, which says the frequent rain induced disaster in northeast states of India highlights the inadequacies in disaster preparedness. Why are they what are the inadequacies, what are the lackings that you can always mention? Critically examine the factors which contribute to such disasters. Suggest and long-term mitigation strategies suitable for the region's unique physiography. You have to attempt this question in 250 words in 15 marks. Generally, a 250 words question, 15 marks is attempted in 11 minutes. Moving ahead with the next article. The next article belongs to the subject of governance and polity, GS paper 2, in which it is saying Ladakh gets new policies on quota and domicile status. We all know that last week only the central government, the Home Ministry has notified 5 different notifications, regulations with the respect of Union Territory of Ladakh, and we also know that the background was that the people of Ladakh were protesting that they wanted constitutional status, they wanted to be included in the 6th schedule of the constitution, so that they can, the tribal area, the tribal communities can get autonomous, more autonomy with respect to their culture and their land. With this understanding, let me first read you what is the question, and then we'll come back to the article. The question says critically discuss. Critically discuss का मतलब again you need to bring out both positives as well as negatives about the theme. critically discuss the recent governance changes notified by the central government in the Union Territory of Ladakh. The central government has notified certain changes. Changes in what? The governance structure. What are the governance structure? We will understand what is the governance structure, and you need to bring out both the positives as well as negative, because it is asking you to critically discuss the changes in the governance structure. So you need to mention what was there before. That's why you will be able to tell what are the changes that have been occurring. You again have to attempt this question in 250 words and 15 marks. Now let us understand what the article is all about. Ladakh gets new policies on quota and domicile status. Why was this article in news? It says because amidst the in the middle of the demands of Ladakhi civil society groups seeking constitutional safeguards for the region, the Union government in June notified new policies on reservation, language and domicile. Now, what are the special provisions that have been given to the Union Territory of Ladakh? The first notification was Ladakh Civil Services Decentralization and Recruitment Amendment Regulation 2025. दूसरा यूनियन टेरिटरी और लद्दाख रिजर्वेशन अमेंडमेंट रेगुलेशन 2025. ये दोनों के अंडर क्या प्रोविजन है? दैट देयर शैल बी 85% रिजर्वेशन, देयर शैल बी 85% रिजर्वेशन फॉर द रेजिडेंट्स ऑफ लद्दाख इन द गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स. You should not be surprised by this provision, because similar provision also occurs in the state of Sikkim. The only difference is that is constitutionally safeguarded under Article 371. 371E, not E, 371I. Under Article 371I, it is constitutionally safeguarded for Sikkim to have majority of the job reservations in reserved for the local people. The other residents can also apply provided they have 15 years. They have 15 years of continuous residence in the Ladakh after 2019. So if you add 15 years in 2019, you will come back to 2034. So till 2034, no outsider can get job in the or a reservation in the Ladakh. So that is to protect the culture and indigenous people of the Union Territory. The third notification is Ladakh Civil Services Domicile Certificate Rules. Who can issue the domicile certificate? The Tehsildar can issue the domicile certificate, and against this, where can you apply? To the Deputy Commissioner, that is to an IAS officer. Moving ahead, the fourth is Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council Amendment Regulation, which says that one-third of the seats shall be reserved for women on rotational basis. And last is Ladakh Official Language Regulation, which says that English, Hindi, Urdu, Bhoti and Purgi all will become the official languages of the Union Territory of Ladakh. So these are the different regulations that have been formed, and these are the changes in the governance structure. Before this, the changes were not there. These changes have brought more decentralization and more autonomy, to the tribal communities of the region. Now, why did the government did this? Because we all know the background, that after abrogation of Article 370 in 2019, the state of Jammu and Kashmir was split into the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Union Territory of Ladakh. Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir had a legislature, Vidhan Sabha, and Union Territory of Kashmir did not have a legislature, did not have a Vidhan Sabha, and it directly came under the control of the central government. As a result, the people of Ladakh started to fear that the central government will not take care of the unique tribal identity, the environment, the ecology, and would exploit the limited resources that are present in the region. This led to the growing demand of inclusion of Ladakh under 6th schedule. Under 6th schedule, because the tribal majority regions get some autonomy, and autonomous district council in 6th schedule areas get more autonomy to carry out the administration of the tribal areas. Why was this demand made? Because Ladakh itself has 90% of the Ladakh's population is itself ST, and they are themselves tribal, and therefore they demand that we should be included in the 6th schedule. Also, this was complemented by, in 2024 and 2025, the movement gained visibility because a national leader like Sonam Wangchuk went on hunger strike for supporting the people supporting the Ladakhi people for Ladakh to be included in the 6th schedule. Now, since the government was not in favor to extend the provision of 6th schedule to the Union Territory of Ladakh, therefore the government issued five notifications. Now the idea is that these 5 executive orders are considered as law. We all have studied polity and we all know that they will be considered as law under Article 12 of the under Article 13 of the Indian Constitution, that any executive order, notification, rules, bylaws, regulations, all are considered as laws under Article 13. Now, the only point is that the status of Ladakh will not be provided with the constitutional guarantees. The state of Ladakh will not be given any constitutional guarantees like other states, like we know the state of Assam, we know the state of Mizoram, we know the state of Tripura, we know the state of Meghalaya. So these 4 states have been provided, with the constitutional provision under Article 244 clause 2, 6th schedule, where autonomous district councils have been provided with some additional and more power than the other states to administer the tribal areas. Now, we have been discussing what the 6th schedule, the Ladakh is demanding 6th schedule. What does the 6th schedule say? Under Article 244, these 4 states will get additional autonomy to administer the tribal areas. How do they administer the tribal areas? By creating autonomous district council. What kind of function do autonomous district council have? Representation from tribal communities. They are responsible for making laws in matters related to land, management of forest, money lending, and social and religious customs that belongs to that area. They are also responsible to grant license or leases for the extraction of minerals that are present in the jurisdiction. So by these provisions, the Ladakhis are trying to say that they will have more say, more vote, more voice for the development of their region. The government will not simply exploit the resources, destroy the environment and give the benefit to the other part of the country. Rather than they will be kept inside the Ladakh itself. So that is this article all about. And now what is the way forward? The way forward, it says that under all these rules and regulations have been made under Article 240 of the Indian Constitution, which allows for the President to make regulations for union territories. However, since there are no constitutional provisions and since it's only an executive order, it is an example of delegated legislation. Therefore, it can be at any point of time withdrawn by the executive itself, and no longer these provisions will be extended to the Union Territory of Ladakh. But if they would have been protected constitutionally, if the constitution was amended and Ladakh was included in the 6th schedule, then such kind of fear of revoking the status would not be existing. But since that is not the case, the government should consider extending the Union Territory in 6th schedule, providing constitutional status and showing the people that they respect the culture and ecology of the state. Okay? So that is this article all about. Now, after understanding this article, let us understand what the question says. Critically discuss the recent governance changes notified by the central government in the Union Territory of Ladakh. We all have understood till now that how can we explore this question. The next article is India engages US in plans to grey list Pakistan at FATF session. This article is about FATF, that is Financial Action Task Force, which is responsible for countering terror financing, and this question relates to internal security subject, that is again GS paper 3 with respect to internal security, where the role of FATF can be explored. Now, without first going to the article, let us try and understand what the question says, and then we will understand how to approach this article. In context of terror financing, explain the structure, functioning and challenges associated with the Financial Action Task Force. It is a very straightforward question that how does FATF work, when was it FATF work, how was it formed, and what are the challenges that are there with the body of FATF. So let us understand what this article is saying. It says that recently we know that the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is on a 3-day visit in US and is going to meet with Deputy Secretary of Treasury. What are they going to discuss? They are going to discuss the upcoming FATF session which is going to be held in Singapore, where India is expected to argue for grey listing of Pakistan. Why is India arguing? Because we all know that there has been recent terror attack in Pahalgam in Kashmir, where it says India has been arguing that security establishment of Pakistan, that is army, ISI and government, has a direct link to terror outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed that can carry out cross-border terror attacks against Indian citizens, and that the terror link makes a compelling case to put all financial assistance to Pakistan under increased scrutiny. जितना भी पाकिस्तान को पैसा मिलने वाला है बाहर से, चाहे वर्ल्ड बैंक दे रहा है, चाहे IMF दे रहा है, चाहे कोई और कंट्री लोन दे रहा है, all the financial assistance should be put under scrutiny. Why? Because such money is accused, India is accusing Pakistan that such money is going to the terrorist outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Now, let us understand what is FATF. The Financial Action Task Force, we all know, is an intergovernmental organization. It is not part of United Nations. It is an intergovernmental organization which was established in 1989 as a meeting of G7, and it says that it has a mission to combat financial crimes like money laundering and terror financing. FATF sets forth the measures for the countries to adopt in order to effectively counter money laundering and terrorist financing. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब यहाँ पे ये है कि कुछ भी कहीं भी, wherever, if any country is involved in terrorist attacks, the terrorist groups would require some money. That money is accessed through money laundering. So there are two kind of activities. One is money laundering, another is terror financing. If a country has very strict regulations to counter money laundering and terror financing, then FATF evaluates that country's policies, FATF evaluates that country's guidelines and marks it to be very good country and does not say anything, and says that this country is very good in implementing its anti-money laundering and anti-terror financing laws. But some countries which do not have strict laws or which do not implement their laws, in that country such money laundering activities and terror financing will happen all the time. Therefore, such countries are not in good terms with FATF and they will have some kind of problem. So, FATF conducts evaluations of countries' anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing systems, issues them guidance in areas of concern and fosters information sharing among the member countries. तो जिस भी country का ज़्यादा अच्छा terror financing law है, so best practices, तो जिस भी country का अच्छे law है, such we can learn from such countries and they can be shared with the countries with concern. Based on this evaluation, इसको बोलते हैं mutual evaluation report. इस evaluation को बोलते हैं mutual evaluation report, MER. Mutual evaluation report इसलिए बोलते हैं because there are about 39 countries in FATF. There is no organization which is conducting the evaluation of these countries. It is the 39 countries are evaluating each other. Countries are evaluating each other. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब तभी इसको mutual evaluation report बोलते हैं कि all the countries have come together and evaluated one particular country in order to understand how strong or weak the anti-money laundering or counter-terrorist financing systems are there in that country. So based on these evaluations, FATF lists them as under grey list or under blacklist. The official name for the grey list is jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means countries. Countries under increased monitoring. अभी तक they are not bad, but इस पे हमारा रडार आ गया, हमारी नजर पड़ गई आप पे कि आप काम ठीक से नहीं कर रहे, तो countries with increased monitoring. So major deficiencies in its anti-money laundering and counter-finance financing regime exist. लेकिन इसको इंप्रूव किया जा सकता है, हम कुछ गाइडेंस देंगे, हम कुछ गाइडलाइंस देंगे, इसको इंप्लीमेंट करो, देन यू विल बी एबल टू fulfill and cover the deficiencies. लेकिन those who are not able to fulfill these deficiencies and they are still under the consideration of FATF, they are considered as high risk jurisdiction, और उसको हम किस में डाल देते हैं, ब्लैक लिस्ट में डाल देते हैं, that is they are completely not cooperating with the FATF guidelines. अभी तक at present there are only three countries that are there in FATF blacklist, that is Iran, North Korea and Myanmar. This is a straightforward prelims question that you should be knowing. अब इस लिस्ट का सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है? If anyone is put in either of these lists, then there is increased economic sanction, then there is problem getting loans from any other country, then there is a reduction in international trade. As a result, the currency will depreciate. If there is international trade reduction, then the currency will depreciate. और अगर currency depreciate हो जाएगी तो the country will be facing with inflation. If the country is facing with inflation, the common man, the common citizens will become highly. The common citizens will become highly. The common citizens will become highly distressed and they will rise against the government policies and force them to change the government or policies. या तो गवर्नमेंट को चेंज करना पड़ेगा या पॉलिसीज चेंज होंगी, either of them will happen and there will be international boycott. So as a result of all these things, the people will come under pressure and people will force the government to stop such activities, or people will either change the government or will force the government to stop such activities. Now, what is the status of India and Pakistan with respect to FATF? Let us understand that Pakistan was put first in grey list in 2008, लेकिन एक ही साल में उनको रिमूव कर दिया गया, उसके बाद फिर से 2018 में उनको डाला गया 4 साल के लिए, and in 2022 they were removed. How did India agree? India agreed to the decision because they showed documented evidences in which they have taken action against the terrorists. For example, they had shown that they had arrested the Lashkar-e-Taiba leader Hafiz Saeed, and they have arrested the Jaish-e-Mohammed leader Mahmoud Azhar. All of these were arrested, but we all know that they were just arrested as an eyewash. They were kept in house under protection of the security enforcement of Pakistan. India, what is the state of India with respect to FATF? India became a member in 2010. In 2024, the latest mutual evaluation report, India was placed in regular follow-up category, which is the highest category that is there in FATF, and is placed along with very terror-free countries like UK, France, Italy और Russia. इनमें हमें पता है कि ये they are anti-money laundering and they have no terror financing, and the best possible category that FATF can give, that is this category of regular follow-up category, where India has fulfilled all the guidelines of FATF. तो इंडिया को कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. What could be the conclusion? What could be the way forward? That the recent terror attack has given the world an opportunity that the world can come together as one unit and stand against terrorism, provide a collaborative, comprehensive definition which everyone agrees to, so that the menace of terrorism can be eliminated once and for all. With this background, let us understand the question again. In context of terror financing, explain the structure, functioning and challenges of FATF that we have already understood. Moving ahead with the next article. The next article says a ban, a split verdict and a health concern. This article is about science and technology, and particularly biotechnology. What in specifically biotechnology? First, let us understand the question and then we will come back to the article. This is with respect to the GM mustard, that is Dhara mustard, DMH11. So, the Supreme Court in 2024 had reserved the judgment, reserved the decision for a 3-judge bench बिकॉज द टू जज बेंच गेव अ स्प्लिट वर्डिक्ट, यानी दो जज थे और दोनों ने अलग अलग डिसीजन दिए, एक ने फेवर में दिया था कि जीएम मस्टर्ड होना चाहिए, एक ने अगेंस्ट दिया कि जीएम मस्टर्ड नहीं होना चाहिए, तो उसको बोलते हैं स्प्लिट वर्डिक्ट। तो उसके अगेंस्ट 3 जज बेंच के पास एक ये केस गया है विच इज येट टू गिव इट्स डिसीजन। द क्वेश्चन इज द सुप्रीम कोर्ट स्प्लिट वर्डिक्ट अगेंस्ट द एनवायरमेंटल रिलीज ऑफ जीएम मस्टर्ड अंडरस्कोर्स द कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रोसीजर। तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने स्प्लिट वर्डिक्ट दिया, उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, अंडरस्कोर, अंडरस्कोर का मतलब इंपॉर्टेंस बताता है, सिग्निफिकेंस बताता है, किस चीज की, कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रोसीजर की, बहुत मुश्किल प्रोसीजर है, किस चीज का, इन्वॉल्व इन एनवायरमेंटल एथिक्स इन इंडिया। एनवायरमेंटल एथिक्स रिलेटेड की एनवायरमेंटली इको फ्रेंडली प्रैक्टिसेस क्या हैं, उससे रिलेटेड जो चीजें हैं उसके रिगार्डिंग जो बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रोसीजर है इंडिया में, उसको हाईलाइट करता है सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ये स्प्लिट वर्डिक्ट। व्हाट आर द इश्यूज प्रेजेंट विथ जीएम मस्टर्ड, पहले तो एक सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है कि जीएम मस्टर्ड में क्या प्रॉब्लम है। ऑल्सो हाईलाइट द रोल ऑफ जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग अप्रेजल कमिटी जीएक विच अप्रूव्स द जीएम क्रॉप्स। इस क्वेश्चन को ये आपने 250 वर्ड और 15 मार्क्स में अटेम्प्ट करना है। नाउ लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द आर्टिकल इज ऑल अबाउट। सबसे पहले देखते हैं न्यूज में कि जैसे हमने देखा न्यूज में ये इसलिए है बिकॉज देयर इज the GM mustard, there is a new genetically modified mustard has been formed which has increased the yield of the, which has increased its yield from its parent plant. तो in the, और इसके against दो decisions आए थे। पहला, the food safety FSSAI, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has prohibited the manufacturing and sale of blended mustard oil in India effectively from 2021. 2024 में Supreme Court ruled against the approval granted by the central government for the central government का मतलब यहाँ पे क्या होता है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का मतलब यहाँ पे होता है GAC, and GAC is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. तो बेसिकली वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ही हो गया। The central government has whatever the central government had asked to release the GM mustard, the Supreme Court ruled against it, that it should not be released, and why it should not be released that we'll understand in some time. A major ground on which the two judges pronounced the judgment against DMH11 was insufficient assessment of the impact on human health, कि humans पे क्या impact होगा DMH11 का। कुछ ट्रायल्स किए हैं लेकिन sufficient ट्रायल्स नहीं किए हैं जिससे एक conclusive decision पे आ सके। तो अब देखते हैं सबसे पहले कि ये GM mustard या DMH11 क्या है, धारा मस्टर्ड हाइब्रिड 11 क्या है। इट इज अ वेरिएंट ऑफ मस्टर्ड डेवलप्ड बाय रिसर्चर्स एट DU, और ये बनाया कैसे, सो द ओरिजिनल प्लांट जिसको इंडियन वेरिएंट है इज नोन एज वरुण, इज अ सेल्फ पॉलिनेटिंग प्लांट, दैट इज इट कैन नॉट बी क्रॉस ब्रेड, क्रॉस ब्रेड नहीं हो सकता है, यानी किसी और प्लांट के साथ, वो सिर्फ सेल्फ पॉलिनेट ही करता है। इफ इट कैन नॉट क्रॉस ब्रीड, इसका मतलब ये है कि वी कैन नॉट गेट न्यू और वी कैन नॉट गेट गुड genetic traits in that Varun plant. Therefore, to get good genetic traits in that Varun plant, we need to first prevent the plant from becoming self pollinating. तो पहले हम उसकी जीन्स में कुछ हेयर पेयर करेंगे, इंजीनियरिंग करेंगे और उसको सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन होने से रोकेंगे ताकि उसमें क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन हो सके। फिर उसको क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन कराएंगे, उसमें नए ट्रेट्स लेके आएंगे ताकि उसकी यील्ड बढ़े, ताकि उसकी टॉक्सिसिटी कम हो, और फिर उसका सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन वाली चीज वापस ऑन कर देंगे। That is where genetic engineering and genetic modification and biotechnology comes in. लेकिन इसका क्या हेल्थ इंपैक्ट हो सकता है, वो फील्ड ट्रायल पूरी तरीके से नहीं हुआ है, उसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा ये और करो, उसके बाद हम डिसीजन देंगे। So it is a self-pollinating plant and therefore a challenge for plant breeders to cross different mustard varieties and induce desirable traits. DMH11 is a result of crossbreed breed between two variants, Varun, which is Indian, and European breed, which is early Hira 2. Such a cross wouldn't happen naturally and was done after introducing genes from two soil bacterium known as Barnase and Barstar. ये genes का नाम है, bacteria का नाम नहीं है। Barstar and Barnase is the name of the genes which were introduced in the Varun variant. Barnase in Varun induces temporary sterility because of which it cannot naturally self-pollinate. Barstar in Hira blocks the effect of Barnase for allowing the seeds to be produced. The result is DMH11 that not only has a better yield but it is also fertile. वो अपने आप को reproduce कर सकता है और self pollinate भी कर सकता है। DMH11 is a transgenic crop because it uses foreign gene from a different species. हमने देखा बैक्टीरिया से हमने जीन इंट्रोड्यूस किया है और हमने उसको मस्टर्ड में डाला है। So please remember there are two words that you should remember. One of the words is that if there is a, so there are two words. One is genetically modified organisms. Genetically modified organisms are of two types. First is transgenic organisms. What does transgenic organism mean? When there are two species involved. एक species का जीन आपने दूसरी स्पीशी में डाल दिया. कैसे डाला? क्रिस्पर कैस्टाइन करके डाला, बट डाल दिया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल बीटी कॉटन, बैसिलस थ्रैंजिनस कॉटन. तो आपने बीटी कॉटन बनाया, तो दैट वाज अ ट्रांसजेनिक ऑर्गेनिज्म. बट समटाइम्स यू मेक समथिंग नोन एज genetically edited rice. We know that last month only, आपने न्यूज में पढ़ा होगा, last month only ICAR, Indian Council for Agricultural Research, has released 2 new varieties of genetically edited rice. Genetically edited rice का मतलब क्या है कि बिना कोई फॉरेन जीन ऐड किए हुए, नो फॉरेन जीन, कोई फॉरेन जीन ऐड नहीं हुआ है, कोई फॉरेन जीन ऐड नहीं हुआ है, बिना कोई फॉरेन जीन ऐड हुए आपने उसकी जीन्स में कुछ या तो ऐड किया है और सब्ट्रैक्ट किया है. आइदर यू हैव एडेड समथिंग और यू हैव सब्ट्रैक्टेड एनीथिंग. दैट इज नोन एज जेनेटिकली एडिटेड राइस. ये भी आप क्रिस्पर से कर सकते हैं. अब आप फॉरेन जीन ऐड कर रहे हैं, ये भी आप क्रिस्पर से कर सकते हैं. लेकिन जब आप फॉरेन जीन ऐड कर रहे हैं, ट्रांसजेनिक, सम कोई और ऑर्गेनिज्म, ट्रांस ऑर्गेनिज्म हैज कम इनटू पिक्चर. व्हेन यू आर नॉट डूइंग, यू आर जस्ट एडिटिंग द जीन्स, देयरफॉर दैट इज जेनेटिकली एडिटेड ऑर्गेनिज्म बोलते हैं. तो बोथ इन बोथ द केसेस, तो ऑर्गेनिज्म का जो जीन्स है, जीनोम है, उसको आपने मॉडिफाई तो कर दिया है. बोथ आर नोन एज जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड ऑर्गेनिज्म्स, बट वन इज ट्रांसजेनिक, अनदर इज genetically edited. So that difference you should be remembering. That is why it says DMH11 is a transgenic crop because it uses foreign gene from some other species. अब ये जो mustard variety है, is it better than the earlier? Yes, it is better. Trials conducted over 3 years by ICAR suggest that DMH11 has 28% higher yields than its parent Varun and 37% better than the local varieties as compared to its disease resistance and agricultural sensitivity. ये जो 3 साल के ट्रायल्स है, these were conducted in 8 different locations. That means it is comfortable in different soil conditions also. तो controversy क्या, problem क्या? Problem ये है that the use of genes of the foreign species is one, and secondly the preparation of mustard requires the use of another gene called the bar gene, bar star or barnase, that makes it tolerant to a herbicide. As a result of using Barstar and Barnase, तो एक herbicide है that is glufosinate ammonium. अगर ये pesticide है and the farmers are using this pesticide to prevent the crop from getting attacked from a pest, what is the consequence of this pesticide on human body? That has not been tested. तो वो, that is a problem which the Supreme Court is saying कि you should have conducted more field trials before coming to us. Activist group also accused that GM mustard hasn't been evaluated as a herbicide resistant crop. Finally, they also accused that GM mustard plants may dissuade bees from pollinating the plant, and this could knock off the environmental catastrophes. We know that pollination is an ecosystem service, और if pollination नहीं होगा तो it could be very catastrophe, it could be very hazardous for the nature in itself. अब आगे क्या कर सकते हैं हम genetically modified mustard के लिए? This isn't the first time that GIAC has cleared. पहली बार ऐसा नहीं हुआ है कि GIAC ने किसी चीज को क्लियर कर दिया हो और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने रोक दिया या गवर्नमेंट ने रोक दिया हो. And release of GM mustard in 2017, apex body had cleared. Apex body on GIAC had approved the process but got stalled because of Supreme Court. हमें पता है BT cotton तो अप्रूव कर दिया, लेकिन BT brinjal अप्रूव नहीं हुआ था. Similarly, GM mustard has been approved by GIAC but it has not been approved by Supreme Court. GIAC go ahead only allows DMH11 to be grown in fields under the supervision of ICAR, लेकिन commercial cultivation के लिए आपको Supreme Court की final permission चाहिए होगी. Last thing, what is this GIAC all about? Because this question is also saying that you should highlight the role of GIAC in approving the GM crops. So what does GIAC do? GIAC का full form is Genetically Engineering Appraisal Committee under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It has been formed. अगर आपसे कोई पूछे किस लॉ के तहत बनाया गया है, तो आपको लॉ का नाम भी पता होना चाहिए. दैट इज एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट. एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 1986. इस लॉ के तहत GIAC को बनाया गया है अंडर एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्ट्री, which says that it is responsible for appraisal of activities involving large scale use of hazardous microorganisms, जिसको आप कभी कभी invasive species भी बोलते हैं. तो इन्वेजिव स्पीशीज आपकी कंट्री में ना आए, हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दैट? GIAC is responsible for that. Also, the committee is responsible for appraisal of proposals relating to genetically modified organisms and products that are released in the environment. What impacts can it have on the environment? What is the way forward? The way forward can be, it has to be a balanced approach, that there is very good advantages of hybrid technology, of biotechnology, using the advantages of crossbreeds between two species. But there should also be supervision and risk assessment should be done, and toxicity should be checked before they are released commercially, because at the end the health of the citizens, health of the people are at stake. So with this article, let us again read the question so that you can become more clear. The Supreme Court's split verdict against the environmental release of GM mustard underscores the complex procedure involved in the environmental ethics. What are the issues present with GM mustard? Also highlight the role of genetic engineering appraisal committee. So you have to answer this question in 250 words. One last article is there, and with this we will end this question with this session. This last article talks about building integrated photovoltaics, converting buildings into solar assets. This we can put in environment also and in scientific technology also, but in GS3 per se, this article is about solar energy, which is about the which we will keep it in environment, that how can India become more clean, environmentally clean, by adopting solar energy, by adopting renewable energy, so that it can also become net zero in till 2070. So what the question is, critically analyze, again it says critically analyze का मतलब कि आपको उसके दोनों फायदे और नुकसान, पॉजिटिव्स और नेगेटिव्स दोनों को परखना है. Critically analyze the features of Prime Minister Surya Ghar Yojana. We all know that Prime Minister Surya Ghar Yojana has been launched, in which 1 crore domestic households shall be installing solar panels by rooftop mechanism. Discuss the new innovations taking place in the field of solar energy which can help India. सिर्फ वही innovation हमने बतानी है which can help India achieve its Panchamrit targets. We all know that India in 2021 in its 26th COP of UNFCCC, जो कहाँ हुआ था? ग्लासगो में हुआ था. जो कहाँ हुआ था? जो कोपेनहेगन में हुआ था. And what in the 26th COP, what did it say? India gave something known as Panchamrit. 5 अलग अलग टारगेट्स दिए थे. पंचामृत टारगेट क्या था? कि हम रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी कैपेसिटी 2030 तक अचीव करेंगे, हम न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी कैपेसिटी 2030 तक अचीव करेंगे, हम हम कार्बन एमिशंस कम करेंगे, हम पावर इंटेंसिव इंडस्ट्रीज को कम करेंगे 2030 तक, एंड वी विल बिकम नेट जीरो टिल 2070. सो सम 5 टारगेट्स हैव बीन एस्टैब्लिश्ड. तो ये 5 जो टारगेट्स हैं, इन 5 टारगेट्स को अचीव करने के लिए सोलर एनर्जी में क्या नए इनोवेशंस हुए हैं उसको हमने हाईलाइट करना है. With this question in mind, let us understand what this article is all about. Why the article is in news? Because we all know that till 30th April 2025, 17 gigawatts of capacity, rooftop capacity has been installed to produce solar energy. The scalability is constrained by the limited availability of shadow-free rooftop spaces. हमें पता है कि हम सिर्फ छतों पे ही सोलर पैनल लगा सकते हैं. एक तो जिसके घर में छत नहीं वो नहीं लगा सकता, दूसरा अगर छत के ऊपर किसी और छत की परछाई आ रही है, एक बिल्डिंग उसके बगल में एक छोटी बिल्डिंग, उसके बगल में एक और बड़ी बिल्डिंग, तो 2 बड़ी बिल्डिंग में तो शैडो परछाई आ जाएगी, तो सन रेज कैसे आएगी? सन रेज नहीं आएगी तो सोलर एनर्जी कैसे बनेगी? So the scalability is constrained by the limited availability of shadow-free rooftop spaces. Boosting solar adoption in densely populated cities therefore requires to look outside the traditional rooftop system and come towards something known as building integrated photovoltaic system, BIPV. Building integrated photovoltaic system, इसका सिंपल सा मतलब है कि छत पे तो लगा ही सकते हैं, लेकिन अब आप दीवारों पे टाइल्स के साथ साथ आपकी बैल्कनीज में जो टाइल्स लगी हैं, आपके खिड़कियां जो बनी हैं, आप इन सब में अलग अलग कंपोनेंट्स लगा सकते हैं सोलर पैनल्स के, विच विल ट्रैप द सनलाइट एंड प्रोड्यूस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी फॉर यू, जिसकी वजह से सिर्फ छत ही नहीं बचेगी आपके लिए, आप अपनी बैल्कनीज, आपकी दीवारों को भी, आप ग्लासेस को भी यूज कर सकते हो सोलर एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए. दैट इज नोन एज बिल्डिंग इंटीग्रेटेड फोटोवोल्टाइक्स. So this is one of the innovation that you can mention in this question. What is BIPV? BIPV is that can turn entire buildings into power generators by integrating solar elements directly into the architectural elements. कैसे? Unlike RTS which are added on rooftops, BIPV's systems are embedded into the building's architectural fabric like facades. जो आपका छज्जा जिसको बोलते हैं हिंदी में, उसको facades या facade बोलते हैं. They replace conventional construction materials such as glass, tiles, cladding with solar alternatives. इसको आप BIPV का नाम देते हैं. शुरुआत में obviously ये ज्यादा महंगा होगा, but eventually this will, when many technologies will be involved in BIPVs, eventually the cost will come down. How can BIPVs be incorporated? They can host semi-transparent BIPV panels that serve as curtains, walls and claddings and prevent the sunlight from entering. Sunlight will be trapped, converted into electricity, and also heat will not be going inside. Even balconies, canopies and shading devices can be designed to house solar elements utilizing structural features for energy generation without occupying additional space. वो तो मिनिमम आपकी दीवारें तो हैं ही, दीवारों पे ही सोलर पैनल लगा दो, कोई एक्स्ट्रा चीज लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है. छत पे तो आप एक्स्ट्रा सोलर पैनल लगा रहे हो, जो आपकी दीवारें हैं वो तो होनी ही होनी है, तो उसकी जगह पे वो कह रहा है कि सोलर पैनल लगा दो, so that there is no additional structure that is required. The transparency, color, sizes, shapes can also be customized according to the aesthetic requirements. Why do we require BIPVs? Because we know that urban population is increasing a lot. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has said that by 2051, India's urban population will become 850 million. That means 8.5 crore. Sorry, 85 crore. 85 crore will become the population, and it will be a lot of energy will be required for the urban areas to run. As a result, it is important for all of us to think of alternative methods. In the high-rise buildings of India's populous city, rooftop space is very insufficient, is often insufficient to install the rooftop solar panels. Since BIPV can be integrated into various parts of the building's envelope, it can use available surfaces more efficiently. So this is some of the innovation that you can think about. This I have included one external factor in this question, that is you have to determine the features of Prime Minister Surya Ghar Yojana. Has it achieved its purpose or not? इसके बाद आपने ये innovation के बारे में बताना है. So these were the different articles that were there with respect to your first current affairs session of Mains Maharat. ये हमने June first week के लिए जो relevant topics हैं Mains 2025 के लिए उसको discuss किया है. We have tried to keep it diversified, that is studying from different subjects. आपको एक brief overview दिया है. You with this video as a demo, please come and join Mains Maharat program so that you can get assured success and you can clear the mains examination with focused approach, with one-to-one faculties with experts of expert subjects, and you can clear the mains examination in one attempt. On this note, I wish you all the very best. Thank you.